Okay, I think we are ready to start. Okay, so again, a very good evening to all of you. And it's great that you guys are back in the Stock Durbar session. So as always, starting with the basics macro and the Nifty chart. So if you can see, there is a lot of noise nowadays. So last time also we discussed about the, so last time when we met, the Ukraine-Russia was just at the beginning, right? And now it seems like, it is coming to an end. It just looks like, but you can never say what will happen in these geopolitical issues, right? So we should not presume anything and try to take position in the market. That's what we have been always advocating. But apart from that geopolitical tension, there is a lot of other things. That is, there is inflation, right? Specifically for India, the crude for 1 or 2 days, it was somewhere on an average trading around 120, 30, 40 high, right? 130, 40 per barrel. So that was very negative for India. But the good part is, like, I think today the crude is already below $100 per barrel as I am talking to you. So that's some relief to India. So today, Fed is going to declare its meeting outcome. So a lot of people will be having an eye on it. So 25 bips of rate hike. Looks like it's already in the market. So there won't be a surprising reaction on the either side if there is a 25 bips movement. But some of the probability of 50 is very less, right? And overall 6 to 7 rate hikes are expected during the year, but I think it might start today itself. So beforehand only, I think a lot of things get priced in the market. And if you look the FII selling, like it's a huge selling by FIIs. Around in last 1 year, the selling is around last few months 1.5 lakh crore, right? And the crude is already above 100 for the last week. But the good part is, like, our economy is holding a bit. If you look at the INR 76, 77, in this tough situation is a very comfortable zone. अगर आप पहले का भी सोचते कि इतना एफआई माल बेचे जा रहा है, इतना क्रूड का प्रेशर है, then you might have seen that there might be a huge depreciation of the rupee. But that is not the case. Like, the reserve that the RBI has and the way they are managing, that's really good for India, because a higher crude and a higher dollar price, that will be a you can say a very disaster for the economy. That is too high, right? But a lot of things are priced in. Our market has been quite resilient. अगर आप emerging market का देखें, 2021 में MSCI emerging market index has given a negative return, right? Around 2 to 3% of negative return, while India has been more than 20% growth, right, in the year 2021. So that's been great. So if you see Nifty from the height of 18,600, right, last year, it made a low of around 15,600, which is not that deep compared to the other market. And the other problem, or not the problem, but you might have a question कि भाई FI क्यों बेचे जा रहा है इतना? So one thing is like कि जो rate hikes होने वाले हैं, liquidity tighten होने वाली है, ठीक है? Due to that reason, FI is moving out of the growth stocks, right? और अपना तो क्या है, stocks growth नहीं है, अपना तो market ही growth है. Indian market is a growth market, right? So whenever the game comes to the board of valuations, so these things might happen, that there can be a brief correction or maybe 3 4 months of patchy period for the Indian markets. But overall, other macro data points, if you see, there is no major issue, right? But however, to understanding these all data points, the macros, how the currency is moving, how the crude is moving, the liquidity tighten, that's the one part, and you should be good at it, right? Whenever you are in the market. The second part, which is very important, is the technical setup, right? So how Nifty is set up. So last week, last to last week, Nifty made a low, and that was the correction low. After that, 1, 2, and 3 sessions, and over here we change the market status to a rally attempt, right? So when we go to a rally attempt market status, so some of you might be new over here, that means that we are having a potential bottom. We can never say that this can be a bottom, but there is a chances of a potential bottom, right? Okay, that's one thing. The second thing is, when you want to go to rally, from rally attempt, you need a follow through day, FTD. FTD follow through day, matlab Nifty moving up 1.5% or higher on a volume which is higher than previous session, right? So over now, the game is different, right? See guys, what's happening? You can see यहाँ पे 1.5% का gain हुआ था, right? But the problem is volume was lower. You can see the selling over here. For 2 to 3 days, the volume was good, right? When Nifty was forming a potential bottom. तो यहाँ पे ये 2-3 दिन के लिए volume अच्छा था. But what happened? So over here, the volume was low. Today also Nifty gave a very good closing, right? But the problem is the volume was very low, right? And whenever there is a selling, so yesterday's session was a selling session, so on that day the volume was higher, and that is why we are not considering a follow through day, and we are not changing the market status to a confirmed uptrend, right, or a rally. So what we will do, we will wait for a follow through day, which is 1.5% gain on the benchmark index and on a higher volume, right? So second thing you need to look for is this black line. जहाँ पे आज निफ्टी ने रेजिस्टेंस मारा, दैट इज द 200 DM, राइट? So you want a good convincing closing about the 200 DMA. The one good thing about this market is like it found support near its short-term moving averages, though not very helpful. Like if you are not a trader, that is the pink line is the 10 EMA, right? And the green line over here is the 21 EMA. So Nifty दोनों के ऊपर आ चुका है. It is finding a good support around 10 EMA. So that is one positive thing. But you should look for a high volume gain day and Nifty reclaiming its 250 DMA to be more confident on the market. There is no point on getting in early, right? It's okay to miss that 5-10% of the profit in the stocks that you wanted to add in your portfolio. But sometimes it happens like there is a fake rally, right? And at that time you lose a lot. जैसे कि यहाँ पे हुआ था, for 2 days there was a very strong rally and everyone was thinking okay this is the bottom. यहाँ पे अभी bottom बन गया निफ्टी का, war भी शुरू हो गया, अभी खत्म हो जाएगा, and everyone was quoting that the bottom is formed when the first bullet is fired. But you should look at the Nifty's chart and not the bullet fired. So what happened the third day? Nifty gap lower and you can see it made another major bottom, right? And from there it is doing good. So you should be very careful when you are observing the market direction. Look at how the Nifty is behaving, where the Nifty chart is, right? So this is very important. So looking forward, two things. First, you should look for the follow through day, 1.5% gain or higher on benchmark indexes on a higher volume. Volume बहुत important है. सिर्फ price action पे मत जाओ. You should look at the volume, how the volume is, right? Secondly, if it reclaims this 200 DMA, right, which is 16,988, and then the 50 DMA, that is 17,272, then that will be great. So then the confidence on the potential bottom increases, and then there are a lot of chances of a good rally from that point of time, right? So there, we will come up with the stock list, the watch list, and we will, again start the fresh additions of the stock, right? Whenever the market is in our favor. Okay, so now without going into the sector part, we will discuss sector as in when your queries come up to different stock. So I've been joined by my colleague Vakar and Rajshekhar, and most probably Mayuresh Joshi, our head of research, might also join the webinar. So let's start with your queries. Just post it once. Please don't repeat the queries because it becomes very difficult to scroll back. And okay, so let's start with the queries. So Sanjay is asking that swing trading is giving a lot of recommendation, but MSI is not. So see, these are two different things. So swing trading, it's for a very short term, right? For a day, 1 day, 2 day. But for MSI, we don't do that. We'll look for the market status to be in a confirm uptrend before giving the recommendation, right? So we don't play with that 1-2%, 3% stop loss. So we will be looking for a quality breakout whenever the market is in uptrend, right? And there is one more question from Sanjay. Please share your opinion for hotel industry and see, hotel industry is doing quite well. So today only there was some media reports that the bookings are even higher than it used to be on the New Year's, right? Due to this holy long weekend, right? And not only in the March, but there is a very long weekend coming up in the month of April as well, right? So, and a lot of people are traveling. You might have heard about this revenge traveling, going to meet people. So once this pandemic is moving towards the endemic, right, and now the cases have dropped drastically. So business traveling also picking up, because see, India as today only, you might be watching. There was some news report that e-visa फिर से start कर दिया. The tourists from the other part of the world will now have a easy access to come to India, right? So the business travel will increase, the tourism from the foreign side will increase, and also the domestic tourism has increased. The air traffic has increased. So this clearly means that people are traveling, they will occupy the hotels, right? So the occupancies are increasing due to the people moving long weekends, the summer vacations are coming up, and also the business travel. So the sector is doing quite well. So in hotel industry, you should look for the leaders, right? I'm not sure about the setup, but you should look for the leading stocks and let it form the base, right? Let's say, for example, the Indian hotels. So it is not currently forming any base. And if you can see here, it always found resistance somewhere around 225, 230, right? So let it clear that zone. Okay, and let the market be in a confirm uptrend before you enter into the fresh position. Okay, a lot of queries already here.
Thanks, Sushit. I'll take a few queries. Am I audible, Sushit?
Yes, Rajshekar, you are.
Yeah, I'll take a few queries. Ankush has asked Tata Power and a few more stock specific queries. Tata Power has been resilient compared to other stocks in this current selling market. It is forming a stage 3 consolidation base pattern. You can see on the last 1 week, stock has moved nowhere. It's just moving sideways with volume drying up, which is a good sign. During base formation, we want the volumes to be on the lower side, indicating there is no institutional selling happening during base formation. And the stock is trading near its key moving averages like 50, 100, 21, which are very close by. So there is no clear direction or trend in the current market, but it has been resilient, as I said. Its price strength is also good at 73. When the whole market is falling, and there are many stocks which are beaten around 20-30% down. This stock is down just 14% from its all-time high, which is a good sign. Whenever market reverses from here, and when we have a follow through day, we might see a breakout happening in this stock. Then we can consider the stock for addition. Fundamentally, this stock has been doing very good. We can see here the EPS is also very good at 70. There has been a lot of news reports have around the stock as well. In the EV space, battery manufacturing space, Tata Power is investing a lot, which is a good sign for future prospects. So as of now, fresh entry is not advised, but if you are holding, I can continue to hold it because the stock is resilient in the current market. Then I'll take SBI cards, Ishit, and Minda Corporation. Yeah, you can see the daily chart of SBI chart. After stage 3 base formation, it has been in a downtrend, forming lower lows, which is a bad sign on technical aspect. Looks like the bottom is formed, the potential bottom, I can say. But the current moment, its technicals are deteriorated. RS has deteriorated to 11, which is very bad. And buyer demand is also gone down to D. which is considered poor according to our parameters. CPS is at 95 because it has reported very good numbers. However, technicals are always leading indicators because fundamentals do not change often. They take the results come up only once in quarterly, but the technicals are always indicating ahead of the stock's future. I can see here it is a very beaten out stock. Alpha is around 29 to 30%. So these are the kind of stocks you should exit at around 7 to 8% stop loss, because after losing 30% in a particular stock, so you are from 100 rupees investment, it will go down to 70 rupees. So again, to break even, you need around 35% of gain, which is very difficult in the market. So that is why we emphasize mostly on cutting down the losers at 7 to 8% most of the times. And there is no scope for fresh entry at this point in this stock. Let the stock form a good base and let it technicals improve. Then only you can look into it. At the current moment, there is no scope for the fresh entry. And Minda cut. This is a very good stock, resilient stock. Again, likewise with Tata Power. It has forming a stage 2B consolidation base. You can see the offer is here. It is just 6.6%, which is very good in the current market. Its price range is also at 71 because it is outperforming the majority of the stocks. But fundamentally, stock EPS is at 54, which is not a good sign because last quarter, that is December quarter, it has reported not so good numbers, a decline in EPS and no growth in sales. That is the reason for EPS of 54. And when the market reverses and gives a FTD from here, this stock might give a breakout. This might lead the market as well. But only the problem with this is EPS of 54. If the company reports good numbers in its March quarter, then definitely EPS will improve, and then we can look into it for addition.
Thanks, Rachita.
Actually, there are lots of queries.
Yes, so there is one query on Paytm. Paytm करते हैं.
It's a trending stock nowadays.
Yeah, it's a trending stock, and see, like it's only for one day. Day one, like it went higher. Since then, you can see it is continuously falling. This is a daily chart, and there is a huge selling. कभी अपना 21 EM में भी this is not able to reclaim, right? This is continuously trading above all the key moving averages, and see a lot of things like these kind of new IPOs. That is why whenever we discuss about the IPO, we have always told you guys. So William O'Neill used to say that never apply to the IPOs, right? That's what William O'Neill used to say. But wait for it to form the IPO base. So IPO base क्या होता है कि generally the stocks, like cup with handle, double bottom, or any other consolidation base. So after listing, the stock will give a good indication the base formation within the first 1 month, right? Generally it can be the 7 days to 1 month time frame when the stock forms a small base and some area of consolidation, and breakout from there is a quality IPO, right? But over here you can see, so that is one of the very good parameter that William O'Neill has designed. But over here you can see there is no such formation, right? Continuously it is going down, and that's why the risk management is very important for those who are holding the stock, right? Or those who have got it the IPO allotted or bought it somewhere in the between, that अभी ये 2000 का 1200 तो हो गया, अभी यहाँ से थोड़ा गिरेगा. So it never happens like that, never try to catch a falling knife without a good a technical or the fundamental strength. You should try to avoid this stock, right? Now, I think the major question in your mind will be those who are already holding have a huge loss. They can come out anytime. But what next, right? So a lot of negative news have been coming in through for the Paytm. So their profitability is not increasing that, right? There was some news reports for which the company had to clarify about some data leak or and all those things, right? FI is huge holding over here, and there has been heavy selling from the FIIs. So RBI also suspended the opening of new accounts in the Paytm bank. So a lot of negative news flow is coming through the stock, and it's already beaten down. So see, best thing is to wait for the next quarter result. How are the results coming? Are they turning profitable? Whatever the management has said recently during the time of IPO, that this will be our operation, this will be our performance in the next few quarters, are they able to show that? And what is the technical strength building up, right? क्या यहाँ पे कोई बेस बना सकता है क्या, समवेयर बिटवीन 600 to 800 और मे बी इवन टिल 1100 1200, कि यहाँ पे कुछ 1000 के अराउंड बेस बन सकता है या नहीं? If it is forming the base, right, that is the first thing. Second thing, fundamental is improving. If these two things are coming up, then whenever that stock breaks out, you should buy, not before that. And like if you want to learn about these how to trade through IPO base, you can anytime go to our learning article, and there you can understand that what are the rules, how to trade a IPO stock, when to enter the IPO stock and when to exit it, right? So that can be useful. But yes, for the Paytm, you should wait for a couple of quarter or the at least 1 quarter results and the technical setup. So Nitin is commenting that look at the relative strength. It's one. Yeah, it's one. So you can't take it negative. Otherwise, it should be. And yes, the other comment is the Paytm is disaster. Yeah, it looks like. Okay, so there are a lot of questions coming up. Team is done. Okay, Voltas and let's take Voltas. Yes, it has been holding in this weak market. You can see it is just only 6% off highs, and it is currently forming stage 3 base. थोड़ा higher है. We generally don't like stage 3 bases. The 2, 1 and 2 are the best, but the stock is very resilient, and the relative strength is holding in the weak market. It is turning higher. The most important thing over here is the demand. So the demand is quite improving because the summer has started. The demand of AC is higher, right? Plus the pandemic is a bit over. So there won't be a major impact of any other things on the demand of ACs, right? So also the infra. So government is spending a lot on infra. So if new infrastructure is coming up, then the systems they like the players like Voltas, Blue Star, all these guys, benefit out of that. And that's the reason these stocks might be holding and can be in a momentum. But don't take early entry. So it is very close to breakout, 6% to breakout, right? Just if you can see the EPS is fair, 77 is not bad. RS is poor, but if it is breaking out, यहाँ से और 6% चलेगा, then RS will be on a improving track, right? That is good. The buyer demand, this is what you need to understand. Buyer demand needs to improve. It's not good to go with the a very poor buyer demand. The C is just a fair. Okay, so wait for the breakout. So once the stock breaks out, and if you can see the market is in a confirm uptrend, and the other things are in place for the stock, then you can look for it. But at least wait for the breakout. That is 1356.9 level, right? And yeah, this is not an investment advice to buy or sell. So we are just presenting our point of view by using the O'Neill methodology, right? So please do this. It's a clear disclaimer. Do not consider this as a advice to buy above this level or sell above a certain level or something. Yeah, that's a mandatory disclaimer.
I'll take queries now, if you're fine with you.
Yeah, please.
So there are some queries on paper stocks. I mean, paper stocks are rallying, and people are interested why paper is rallying. So yeah, let's go with JK Paper first. So yes, it did break out. So what was the base? The base count, Rishit? Yes, the base count is still higher, like on a stage 3. But if you can see the RS line, it's been trending like higher in the last few days. So can you, someone can you please switch off your camera? Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot. The RS rating has improved. The RS line is trending higher, and the stock is broken out. But yes, the market is still not in favor to add positions at the moment. And on the fundamental level, what's happening is the unlocking theme is happening. So till your Omicron variant was there, again, your offices, your schools, and your major places got shut up. So now with your Omicron variant at the back burner, even your metro cities like Mumbai and other places, schools have been reopening. School colleges have been reopening. Offices are operating at 100% capacity. So yes, this will lead to your increase in paper demand. Plus, your fourth quarter on a fundamental basis has always been the strongest point for your paper industry. And plus, again, someone mentioned the shortage of recycled paper again, and your grade. So in the paper industry, there is two sections: your grade A mills, which are completely backward integrated from your wood pulp, and your grade B and grade C mills, which use your recycled paper. With your recycled paper having a shortage and the prices increasing, even your grade A mills started increasing the prices. So with your raw material prices increasing and demand moving stronger, your integrated players such as your JK paper, your West Coast paper, Andhra paper, all of them started increasing their prices, which is leading to which can be seen that is leading to stock price movement in the last few days. And uh, even the coming quarter only results will tell that has it reflected in the numbers in terms of your revenue and profitability in your Q4 numbers for the paper segment. So we'll look at another stock. I mean, in terms of, let's look at Kajaria Ceramics. There was one of this query here. I mean, Kajaria Ceramics is the leading player in your tile segment, plus has a good presence in your faucetware and your sanitary section. But I mean, the stock has not able to hold up in the last few months, and it shown like heavy volume selling in the. I mean, before I mean the uptick in the last 4 5 days when the market started moving higher. I mean, if you can see the volumes on the down days, on the days like in the recent downtrend, you can see that the volumes was on a above average level. Rishit, can you show me the off highs? The off highs are looking very high. Yeah, so it's like 25.2%, much higher than the market. I mean, EPS strength is still kind of holding at 60, but if you look at your RS rating and your buyer demand, it's not holding up, and it's clearly visible in the chart. Overall, if you see on a fundamental basis, Kajaria is still guiding for an 18 to 20% margin, which looks kind of difficult for the next 1 to 2 quarters. If you look at because of I mean the Ukraine-Russia crisis and gas prices shooting up, and gas being an important input for your tile makers, the 18 to 20% guided margins can get difficult for I mean the next couple of quarters, but the company is pretty confident about it. One, and in terms of certain key takeaways from their last con call was that they're still guiding for a 15% annual volume growth over the next 3 years, where the industry will be like the industry growth of volume will be muted of around 2 to 3%. And I mean they're expecting price rises. And the other thing that happens is like the Morbi players. I mean the Morbi players are not able to export export because of the logistic issue, container issues. So I mean when they are not able to issue the not able to export, even that uh, leads to oversupply in the market. So once even that oversupply issue gets improved, the freight rate starts stabilizing. And with your housing demand already strong, you can see good uptick in terms of the numbers going forward. So let's see how the numbers pan out for Q4 and Q1, and if the volume guidance and your margin guidance comes true despite the gas prices. So let's monitor and see how the next couple of quarters go in for the company. The next I saw a couple of times Aarti Industries coming up. So can you show me Aarti, please? Okay. So again, it's reclaimed its 10 EMA, I guess. Reclaimed its 10 EMA, but as you can see, the RS rating is like 28, which is not good. Plus, even the RS line is going downwards. Your buyer demand is not good. But if you talk about on the fundamental prospects, I mean, an EPS rating of 96 is superb, which is clearly can be seen in the Q3 numbers. And I mean, a margin guidance of around 25-30% is still guided by the company. And both the sections, your specialty chemicals and your pharma, is growing at very high double digits, around 48 to 52%, which is on a great level. And plus, the capex is on plan. The next 5-year capex is probably in place and announced perfectly. But as you can see, the stock is like more than 26% off high. So let the stock reclaim its key moving averages, or let the stock form a new base. Let some consolidation happen, and let the market come in favor. So once probably those boxes get ticked up, we can look at the stock going forward. But surely a stock to keep a watch on in the next couple of quarters and eye these results going forward.
Thanks,
Yeah. Thank you.
I'll take a few queries now. Queries on Nalco, Hindalco, have been repeating. National Aluminum, that is Nalco. You can see the stock has broken out recently, and that is, however, it is not trending higher after breakout. The reason for breakout, even in this market, is the aluminum prices globally have been rising because of geopolitical tensions. Russia is a major player in the aluminum and other metals as well. That is the reason they are trading at all-time high prices. Hence, the stock prices are also reflecting the same. However, given the market condition, we are not have added the stock in portfolio. Even though if we have added, you can see the stock has not moved anywhere. It is still in the buy zone, and it is trading near its 50 DMA. We could have removed it if it reached its 50 DMA. And the stage count was also on the higher side. That is stage 4. We do not add stocks breaking out of a higher stage count basis. The reason is pretty simple. Higher stage count basis will be extended from the moving averages. Whenever there is a selling in the general market, these stocks will fall the most. So that is the reason we do not add stocks breaking out from higher stage counts. The same is the case with Hindalco as well. The stock broken out from its cup with handle. The reasons are mentioned before. Everything on the stock is looking good. EPS of 93 and number of funds have increased the recent quarter. It has reported very good numbers on both the sales front and the EPS front. The only reason is stage count is of 3 and market condition is not favoring us to add stocks. And even though the stock has broken out again, it has not trending higher. Some profits were booked and the stock is coming down from off-ice. And taking a fresh entry at this point in these stocks is not at all advised because of extension for moving averages, and market is not so conducive for fresh additions at this point. However, if you are taken positions, you can continue to hold this Hindalco because it is trading about key moving averages, and you can keep 50 DMA as its stop loss if you are holding the stock. And I'll take some Pharma. Pharma has broken out recently. From stage one double bottom base, but it's both the techno fundamental ratings are not good. EPS of 45, price strength of 57 are considered poor according to our rating system. You can see here that the stock is not going anywhere. It is just moving sideways with making huge volatile moves on either sides. That is on upside and downside as well. It has good support at its 100 DMA, which is a good sign. But taking efficiently is not advised given its poor ratings and stock that is both on fundamental and technical front. If you are holding the stock, you can keep a tight stop loss around 21 DMA. That is just 3-4% from current market price. I think Manasi has feeling comfortable because it's. I think the query is not answered. ABB I'll take. The reason is there are many queries coming up. We are not able to take up every query. You can always write to us on email. We'll take some time and reply to you in detail. Coming to ABB, stock has formed many base patterns. You can see there are around 4 to 5 base patterns in the last 7 months. But there is no proper trend in the base form after breakout. That is the reason the stage count is reset to 1. Currently, it is trading in a stage 1 consolidation base, and it is trying to reclaim its 50 DMA, which is a good sign. Coming to its fundamentals, it is EPS of 82 is good because of its good numbers, sales and EPS front. Number of funds have increased around 20% in the last quarter, which is a good sign. That is, institutions are happy to invest in this stock. But technical ratings are not favoring the stock. That is, RS is 45, and buyer demand is also C minus. That means there is more selling pressure than the buying demand, and RS is also indicating the stock's underperformance compared to the general market. And yeah, taking efficiently is not advised, and let the stock break out from its stage 1 base. And by the time we hope the market also gives an FTD and we are in a confirmed uptrend. So, till then, there is no ideal buy point. You can wait and watch at this particular point.
Thanks, Rajshekhar. I will take Triveni now. So this has been an outperformer in the weak market, right? Not only Triveni engineering, but all the sugar stocks, right? And it's again the ethanol play, right? Not only the sugar demand is higher, that's a different scenario, but this strong rally is on the back of the ethanol play. Now Gadkari, the Minister of Transport, has commented that the auto companies are in process of making flexi fuel variant, right? And once and he told that these variants will be coming in the year 2022 itself, like, right? Some of the companies have already completed the models and they will be launching them soon. So now currently 10 to 12% ethanol is already getting blended, right? So once these flexi fuel vehicles are there, so there will be a scope of more ethanol blending, and the government is already planning to increase the ethanol blending to 20-25%, right? So this move towards the ethanol blending has been very aggressive by the government, and the current production of ethanol is, I think, nearly half of what the demand will be after a year or two, right? So that's the reason there is a lot of scope for this player, and they will get a very good price for the ethanol. So margin badega, revenue to badega hi badega. So on both the fronts, it will be a win-win game for these sugar players. So that's why Triveni is moving higher, and also the other sugar stock. Now, when it comes to the investment, you should look for a pullback to 50 DMA, right? The red line. क्योंकि इतना extended लेके it's not a good thing because base is not here, right? The last base over here was the stage 2 consolidation base, which was in the September 21, right? After that, the stock has not formed a fresh base, right? So two things: either look for the fresh base formation or look for a pullback. So if the stock moves to 50 DMA, something like that, this from 300 it moved to 233, right? And it moved to this red line, which is 50 DMA, and from there it again rebounded. So this is what you should look for. If the stock somewhere from here falls to its 50 DMA, and 50 DMA is already rising, right? So it can be somewhere around here by the time the stocks fall. And when it rebounds from that, that is where the alternate entry point is if the market is good, right? And the other thing is obviously the base formation. If a base is getting formed, then you can look for it. So all the other sugar stocks also, so I am taking in general, what I discuss about Triveni sugar is applicable for all the other sugar stocks as well, right? Now there was question on Angel One. Yeah, so it has been near its high, so it's just 16% off highs. And looking at the correction in the mid cap and the small cap segment, it has not corrected that much, right? It has formed a stage 1 base, which is really good. So here it had formed the stage 2 base, but the low of 1041, right, was the base low and it undercut. So we reset the base from 2 to 1 again, right? So this is the logic behind the base reset from 2 to 1 because the low of the previous base was undercut. So the first stage base formation is something very good. Currently it is forming a handle, right? That's great. And if you can see, yes, the handle formation was not on a very high volume. So this is also good. And the right side of the base, right? जब यहाँ से 1042 से it started moving towards the 1500, the volume was very high, right? So now over here, you should look for the breakout technically. EPS, RS, buyer demand, everything is good, right? So no two ways about the stock. The second thing is it is in the business of a very good, currently trending, because if you look at the client acquisition, it has been very good for the angel. Also, the number of client has increased in around 130 to 40% in 1 year, right? So this is a huge growth in the client base, and a lot of investors are still moving in the market. A lot of new investors are coming. The LIC IPO might be pushed to the next fiscal year, and so in April, May, LIC IPO might come. That will also help to open new accounts. So not only Angel One, but all the other players. So I think there was one question related to BSE and other exchanges as well, right? So if you look at the BSE, almost 10 crore plus active users on the BSE, right? And so there is a huge volume coming on these exchanges. So India is into the stock market like never before. I don't know how many of you who have joined this session might be very new to the market, or if not new, then being active in the market has increased in since last 1 or 2 years, right? And that has been helping all these stocks. So this is the common theme, right? The new IPOs coming, the new investors coming, the LIC IPO is in coming in next 1 or 2 months, right? So all these factors, heavy trading volume has been helping all these exchanges, right? So that was the common for all. That's what I discussed because there are a lot of queries.
Rishit,
Yeah.
thanks for that.
Mayuresh, your voice was breaking. Can you speak again?
Vakario, I'll take in a few queries. Is
Okay,
it audible now? It's
Yeah, audible.
Thank you. So we'll talk on Jubilant Foodworks. I mean, again, stock in the news for some good reasons and not so good reasons. So let's talk about that. Again, so I mean, the technical setup not good at all. I mean, way below the key moving averages. Off high is like around 44%. And even if you look at your lower duration moving averages, it's like trending like way in the downward direction. Plus your RS rating of 3, not good at all. So why? So as you all know that Jubilant Foodworks is the company that runs your Domino's and your Dunkin' Donuts. And the CEO and the whole-time director Pratik Kota resigned. He will be continuing till June 15, but this does possess a short-term risk. So when the CEO like joined the company in 2017, I mean, on a 5-year basis, if we look on that company's growth, I mean, the earnings have CAGRed at 41.5%, and even the EBITDA margins have climbed from 9.4% in FY17 to 25.5% in FY21. So again, I mean, with the numbers in play, we can see that I mean the success the company was huge because of the CEO or because of the management in place. So yes, a short-term risk for the company definitely is in progress, and the company is in um, like on the hunt for a successor for Mr. Pota. So yes, the risk can be seen in the stock price as well in the last few sessions or in the last few weeks. The next I'll like to discuss would be your Dr. Lal Pathlabs. Yeah, Lal Path. Again, so now I mean the EPS strength is great at 93, but on a technical setup, if you see that the stock is like more than 36% off highs, your moving average is like in a downtrend, plus your RS rating very poor at 8, your buyer demand is not desirable at all. So why all these things are happening? So I mean, there was this, like, even with the COVID, there was this boom of this testing that people would run in for testing. But now with COVID, mostly COVID at the back burner now, hopefully no new variant or no deadly variant coming in at the forefront. So these companies will be back to their non-COVID portfolio, and even the management is right now more focused on the non-COVID portfolio. And with the recent acquisition of Suburban Diagnostics, they would want to expand their reach, the distribution network in your west zone, where Suburban Diagnostic was a major player. And I mean, with testing, price of testing getting affordable, it's more about operating leverage for these players to kick in, and the margins would be driven by volumes and operating leverage, and not by pricing going forward. So let's see how the companies delivers. I mean, what they've seen in the next few results, and how is the non-COVID portfolio will perform in the next few months. And, again, now we'll look at again a favorite of I mean your stock Darbar session, Clean Science. I mean, huge interest with the stock with people like in every stock Darbar session we can see. So yes, the stock is rebounding. If you can see, I mean the RS line is slightly trending higher at the moment. I mean, made a like a base like a bottom of at around 1733, and then it's reclaimed its shorter day exponential moving average of 10 and 21, but still below its 50 DMA. So if you look at, I mean, we talked about the business like in detail about the company. I mean the way how they manufacture, and like through the anisole route, which leads them to the higher EBITDA margins of like greater than 50%, even in this, or around 40 or 49%, even in this depressed cycle where your raw material costs have been escalating. Uh, so overall, the story looks really good. I mean, the board has like recently they came up um, with an announcement that the board has approved like another expansion unit as well. So all the story is like in place. Everything, the good part of the thing is well in place for the company. But yes, let the stock form a base, or let this stock reclaim its key moving averages, and the market being supportive for it. And definitely a stock to watch out for, and to keep track of during the result season. Thanks, yeah. That's it from my side.
Thanks, Wakar. So, there is question on Sun Pharma. Rajshekar, you have taken the question. Oh yeah, the stock is trading almost near its new high. So on Monday it had formed a fresh high of around 908, sorry, 912, right? So this has been one of the resilient stock in the recent times. So the good part is you can see over here, the EPS strength is poor, right, of 45. But if you look at on a consolidated basis, the earnings have been increasing in last few quarters, right? Also, the revenue has been constantly increasing over the last few quarters, right? So this has been a very positive for the stock. So before that, in 2020, you can see there was a lot of issue. जो उनका revenue growth था वो भी single digit में आ रहा था, right, for a very long time. But now if you can see the base effect or maybe the improving business, right, the sales has been very good. Also the earnings have been increasing for the stock, right? And that's the reason, that's one of the reason, like fundamentally it has been improving. Also the number of funds are getting increased in the stock, right? So last quarter almost 6% of higher new funds entered the stock. So always in these kind of whenever the growth stocks are getting beaten down, the pharma tends to held. And also, you might have seen, so last week also there was some news related to its US subsidiary having some tie-ups and some of the approvals that Sun Pharma has got. So that's the reason the stock is in momentum. It's already 8% up from the pivot. So for the fresh entry, you should look for it to correct to, let's say, somewhere around 50 DMA. So that will be both the buy indicator. Firstly, 50 DMA वाला indicator भी होगा यहाँ पे whenever it rebounds from 50 DMA. Also, it will be back to its very close to its buy zone, right, of 0 to 5%, which is the ideal one, right? So look for a pullback of 3 to 5% in the stock, and once it rebounds from there, if something like this happens, let's see, it went higher, then again there was a pullback to 50 DMA and below that, and then again there was a rebound, right? So you should wait for these kind of formation. A rebound needs to be there for to re-enter these stocks, right? Okay, so Sunil Patil is asking, what is the market outlook for next 2 to 3 months? So I think we started, Sunil, with the market outlook itself. So it all depends upon when the follow-through day comes, when the market is holding the key moving averages, right, which is the 50 and the 200 DMA. So what is the technical structure of the leading stocks? Like if you can see the weightage of banking and the IT stocks are very huge in the Nifty, right? So, and the reliance is higher. So how does these kind of stocks play out? Are they reclaiming its key moving averages? So the leading stocks scenario is very important, right? Second thing, all this geopolitical tension needs to ease up the liquidity condition. So today we are looking towards Fed, right? But couple of weeks after, we will be looking to what RBI is saying, right, in the month of April. Because last time when RBI came up with the policy, they were expecting the inflation would not rise much, right? They were very conservative about that part. They were having a comfortable range of $73.44 and 75 to 80 per barrel of crude. So now the scenario has changed. If you can see a couple of days back, the India's CPI inflation is now more than 6%, right? Which is the comfortable range of RBI. Also the crude oil above 100 or around 100 now you can say, and the rupee is also to 76, 77. So what is RBI saying? Will their stance change or not? From accommodative, will they be changing the stance? Will they be indicating a rate hike, or will they do a rate hike? Whatever, anything can be possible. So now all these factors will be looked upon, right? So instead of looking for the levels, right, that what will come after 2 to 3 months, look for these kind of scenario. Look for 200 DMA reclaim, 50 DMA reclaim, right? These are the two indicators, and follow through day, right? And if the follow through is low gets sustained, then there can be a sustainable rally. So look at the levels, that becomes very important. Okay, so next there is question on Divis lab. Yeah, the stock has been beaten almost to more than 20% at a time from its high, right? From high of 5425, it was down to 3788, right? But now it is, again holding its level, and it seems like it is forming a base at this point of time. But then here also you should look for a 200-day reclaim because it is still trading below. It's a very important key moving average. So this black line 200 DMA. So let it, reclaim the 200 DMA. And if you can see the base currently, yes, it is forming a stage 3 base, right? Even after such a huge correction, the base has not reset, right? So these needs to be watched. So these bases are, the higher stage bases are prone to failure. Plus, there is no good strength in the relative RS rating, right? Also, you can see the selling is on higher volume. So this is what we look for. See over here, there is a high volume selling. And since last 2 weeks, there has been buying in the stock. So volume is below average. So this red horizontal line over here is the 50-day average volume. So whenever the stock is going higher, let's say for like 4 days, so the volume is a bit lower. And whenever the selling is happening, the volume is higher, except 1 2 days when the volume was a bit higher on the high day as well, right? So these are the things that you should look for. So this directly gets indicated in the buyer demand. So let the buyer demand improve, key moving averages reclaim, and a good breakout to support the new investment. So it's already 5:30. Let's have some quick look at the chart before we close the session. So yes, there is ONGC. So the stock was in the momentum due to the higher crude oil prices, right? 130, 140 per barrel for 1 or 2 days. It sustained at that level. And I think this was that day when the ONGC hit 13% higher, right, on that day. So due to the higher crude oil price, the realization for ONGC, the profitability, the margin will increase for the stock, and that is the reason it was trading higher. But now you can see the oil prices have cooled down to around 100, and if it remains over there and below that, then I think it might take some time for this stock to move higher, because you can see यहाँ पे high बनाने के बाद it fell for almost 3 sessions, and look at the volume when it fell for that 3 4 sessions, right, over here also. So this indicates that there has been a lot of profit booking in the stock, right? The good part is it is breakout from the stage 2 consolidation base. So if the buyer demand improves, so this is the problem. Even after such a good move, the price strength is just 57 and buyer demand is very poor. That is D, right? If those things improve and the stock is in the buy range, right, which is the 0 to 5% from this breakout zone, then one might look at the stock for the fresh entry, right? Okay, there is a question on CDSL. So last couple of questions we might take. Okay, the stock is forming the stage 4 base, right? The stage is very high, but what I like over here is the accumulation. The formation is very nice. If you can see the double bottom formation over here, when it formed the first leg, okay, then the second leg formation, then again this undercut, right? So that's a perfect. And when the second leg was getting formed, look at the volume. Volume was low tha. Matlab, comparatively it was a lower side. And when it is forming the right side of the base, जैसे कि अभी वो W से breakout होने का try कर रहा है, look at the volume bar. The volume has been huge. And fundamentally, the story remains the same, right? What I have been telling you guys, that the depositories will get a lot of traffic with the new investors coming to the market, right? And this is the first depository that has crossed the 6 crore mark, right? Recently. So these all new investors theme is playing well for all these depositories, brokers, the investment firms, all those guys, right? So over here, wait for the breakout. Stage 4 है, बहुत risky है. Ideally, you should avoid, right? Or if you are not avoiding, then you should be very aware that this is very risky, and you should, play with your stop loss like that. If you are, if you want to be very aggressive on that front, right? Yes, Kumar. It's a very late stage breakout. Okay, so let's take one last question. Let's take BEL. Okay, so the stock failed to break out, right? So it was holding in the weak market and it is forming a stage 3 base. So last week, it was very close to the breakout of zone of around 225, 226, but it failed to give a fresh breakout over here. And again, it's consolidating, right? The RS was very good till last week, but now it has been a bit poor. And if you look at the volume, yeah, it has been higher on the selling, so a little negative on that part. But you should keep this on the radar. The EPS strength is good. The buyer demand is decent, right? If the price strength increases, the market scenario increases. Like Nifty reclaims the key moving averages, market confirm uptrend में आता है. And if the stock breaks out, then you might relook at the stock, right? Okay, Meghmani. I can take this one last. The question was Finechem. Yes, so over here you can see the stock is forming the stage 1 base, right? The market cap is quite low, right? The number of fund holdings by the fund is a bit low. And if you can see on the consolidated basis, over here the earnings have not been that great, right? So you should wait for some earnings to improve and wait for the breakout. So 1004 is the breakout point. So this is the ideal range. Over here is 1000 to 1050, right? So 0 to 5% is the ideal zone. But what you should look at is this is a very low liquidity stock. अभी आज का volume देखो सिर्फ 35,000 का volume था. So if you are comfortable with these things and you can see the fundamental, if the next quarter result comes well, and it is in the ideal buy zone, then and only then you should go for these stocks. You look at the checklist. Yeah. See. So you should look for the liquidity. That is the main issue. So आज सिर्फ 35,000 का volume था, and that is the problem. Okay, guys. So thanks a lot for joining in the session. I know there has been a lot of unanswered queries, but there was a huge traffic today as far as the queries are concerned. So we will soon come up with the next session of the stock Durbar. And before that, if you have some query, you can always write us an email, and our team will get back to you on an email. So thank you very much for joining this session of Stock Durbar. I hope this has been a helpful session to you in understanding the market, and your stock queries have been a bit clear and something new that you learned today. That's what we always wanted. So thank you for joining the session.